I cannot believe I'm saying this. I was on Stranger Things season 5. If you've been watching this channel for a long time, even if you haven't, if you watch as of recently, you will know I'm one of the biggest Stranger Things fans of all time. I don't know what it is about the show. I love it. It's something about it just resonates with me. The editing, the music, the nostalgia, everything is perfect to me, and I've been such a fan. And even to back that up, I'll show you this clip from 6 years ago.
If you guys don't know, I've been tweeting about it. I'm trying to get in Stranger Things. I'm trying to send my audition in. I love the show. I've loved it since season 1. I've watched it 4 times in a row. Stranger Things sticker, season 3 was a bang.
And I have plenty before that too, talking about how much I love the show. But with my love for this show, I just knew some way, somehow, I had to be a part of the final season, and I did it. I completed the side quest. I was on Stranger Things season 5. I just cannot believe it. So in this video, I'm gonna tell you guys as much as I can. I signed NDAs and stuff, but a lot of that doesn't matter anymore because the show's out and you can see them on screen. But I'm gonna talk about my experience on the show. I'm gonna tell you guys exactly what scenes I am. I'm gonna tell you to the minutes and everything so you can look for me and tell you what you maybe not be able to tell what's me, but it is me because I'm in 3 total episodes, which is crazy. I'm gonna tell you guys how much I got paid for being on the show. I'll share that in full transparency. I will say to start, I was an extra on the show. I was not an actor. I did not have speaking lines. A totally different thing. For me, I don't care. I just want to be a part of the show. Even if I wasn't even on camera, I was able to be on set and see all that stuff. I don't care. I was not an actor. In order to have speaking roles in any television movie show, you have to be in SAG-AFTRA. If you don't know what that is, it's essentially like the actors union. And to get into that, you have to be like invited into it by, I don't know, maybe through an agency. I honestly don't know fully how it works. I tried to go the route of getting acting classes and getting to an acting agency for the specific show. When I started doing that, the writer's strike hit, and so I stopped. And then by the time the show fired back up, I think it was too late. And looking back, I wish I would have done that in hopes to get a speaking line, but it didn't happen, but I'm still on the show, so I don't care. So let's start with how I got on the show. So again, wasn't a main actor didn't have an acting agency or anything, but I figured out through friends who've been on other shows like The Walking Dead stuff, they talked to me and said that they're an extra, and that would be a good route to go on because you don't have to be in the union or anything, and there's a lot of different opportunities, and you may see yourself in the background of the show. So I found out who the casting agency was. There's one that's called Casting Tailor Made, and I followed their Instagram, and they would essentially post an email every time that there was a new extra type of person that they need. And they would put out basically like your height, weight, race, all these things of different people. And like, if you fit that, you can apply, and then they look at your photos. Every time you apply, you have to take a photo with a date on it, with a picture to show like your hair and all that stuff. And they would look through all those and select people for that. So I applied to hundreds of them. I don't care what it was. If I fell within the range of being like 6 foot tall, 20 to 30 years old, even if I need to look like a high school student because I look like a baby with a shaved face, I'm gonna do it. I applied for everything. And for months, I got nothing. And then finally, I applied for the soldier role, and I ended up ultimately getting that.
I forgot to mention with this, they wanted military experience, and I had taken military training classes prior, and so I had to send in a video of me showing how to handle weapons, how I knew how to do military movements and things like that in order to get the role. It wasn't just like they picked me. You had to show and prove that you actually had these abilities because we're gonna be doing them on camera.
Essentially, the requirements were like over 6 foot tall, between like 20 and 50 years old, a specific weight, and that kind of thing. So you apply, you take photos, you send all your dimensions, your social medias, you have to put that on there. And then I finally got a text saying you are booked with Stranger Things season 5, and you have to essentially next steps are you have to schedule your appointment to get fitted and come in so you can get your haircut done, and so they can check and make sure you don't need anything before actual shooting. So that happens a few days before the show starts. Now, I'm gonna give you guys there's gonna be a lot of information in this. I wanna share everything. This is just like a crazy experience in my life, but a whole crazy part of this story is where I lived at the time. So I have lived in Atlanta, Georgia my whole life. That's where Stranger Things is filmed. Probably, I don't know, a few months before this all happens and I got that text, me and my wife moved to Nashville, Tennessee. Of all the times in my life to be in Nashville, this is kind of like the worst, but I was gonna make it happen. So like when I got that text finally, or the email that said you were booked for Stranger Things, it was like, peak moment. It was just like, I can't believe this is happening. Like I've been talking about this for and it happened. So I was in Nashville with my wife, Sophie. I had to drive to Atlanta, 4-ish hours to go get fitted and drive back. And then we film on Friday, which is crazy. So luckily my parents live here, my family lives here, and I was able to stay with them for that. What happened, I drove to Atlanta, go to the studios, which is where they film Stranger Things. That's what everybody knows. I got a little name tag here to show that I was there July 8th, 2024. I went on set, or I went on to the stages, and I got to go to the costume department, and they did a whole fitting of me, which is crazy. They made a video about this before, but they have a whole warehouse full of every costume that's ever been on the show. Probably not anymore because a lot of the cast took clothing, but a full warehouse full of that stuff. Me, be able to see that as a Stranger Things nerd is crazy. It was very strict. I was not able to wander around. I was not able to go look at anything. I had to stay in my seat and follow the rules because I wanted to just be a part of it somehow, and I followed all the rules. I went and got fitted, went to the hair, they cut my hair and all that stuff. It was cool. I got to see like they have the wigs of the cast who has to wear a wig in there, and they have all the photos of them and how their hair's supposed to be. But I got my hair cut, all that stuff done. They checked me out and said I was good to go and to come back in a few days. And so I came back on that Thursday or whenever we filmed, and we filmed at the Wheeler house. To start, I'm gonna give you guys a spoiler-free experience, and then at a certain point, I'm gonna tell you there are spoilers, and that if you haven't watched yet, to not watch that portion of the video yet, because when I talk about like me being on screen and stuff, there's gonna be spoilers in that. So definitely just keep an eye out for that. I'm gonna try to keep it spoiler-free throughout until that point. So as spoiler-free as I can be, we're in the studio space where it's the Wheeler house, and we have to, we're filming a scene. It was really cool. We filmed that whole night until like 10 p.m. and then we're supposed to film the next 2 days, and then for some reason they canceled. The shooting schedule was pretty hectic, but we didn't continue filming, and so I was like, what happened? Did they hate us as soldiers being there, whatever? There wasn't a ton of people. It was like 4 soldiers, 12, whatever, other people. I was so mad because I was like, I'm never gonna be on the show again. Being there, seeing the Duffer Brothers, seeing how it works, seeing all behind the scenes, I could have died happy in that moment. Like, I was okay with the fact that that might be my only experience, but at least it was something. And maybe you'll get to see me on camera, maybe not. I'll talk about that when I talk about the scenes that I'm in. But at least I got to be a part of that. A few months go by, and then they're doing more casting for military, and I got a text saying, hey, are you available for these dates? And I was like, yes, I'm available. And they were shooting in Jackson, Georgia, hour and a half south of Atlanta. And so that was 6 hours from Nashville. And I went down for that. That was there's some scenes that I'm in from that. One of the main scenes that I'm in, you can see my face, was shot there. If you don't know, Jackson, Georgia is where like Hawkins is. That's where they like show Hawkins. A lot of the filming locations for Stranger Things is in Atlanta, and that's where like downtown Hawkins is. And so we filmed a lot of it there, a lot of it at the studio space in Atlanta. But I go there, shot in Jackson, Georgia for a few days, got that moment with some of the cast, and got to film that. Crazy experience. There were so many leaks of that happening at the time. It was nuts. I'm gonna talk about how I got in trouble. We'll get to that in a little bit. After that, there was probably like a little bit of a break where I didn't hear back, and I didn't know if I was gonna be shooting. And I got a text saying, are you available for the next like week or two to come be a part of rehearsals as with the soldiers? And this is not spoiler, this is something that's been shown in the trailers, at the Mac Z unit. That's where we're gonna be shooting a scene coming up. It's gonna be a huge scene, and we need to do some rehearsals. So I basically got booked for these rehearsals for 2 weeks. And these are things that are like not on camera, but are rehearsed for the main shots. I essentially had to come back to Atlanta for like a week or two. That was very difficult because, again, I lived in Nashville at the time. And so like being away from my wife, being away from work, like I'm sacrificing a lot with taking off from work. I have employees I have to pay and all this stuff. And I had to just decide like, I'm gonna go ahead and do this for this week and see where it goes. And through that whole process, we kept hearing that they're gonna be shooting for like 4 more weeks after this, and we didn't know if we were gonna be a part of it and all this. And so in that process, as we're shooting these rehearsals, we're learning all of this stuff. We end up finding out, we didn't know if it was gonna happen, we ended up finding out they requested if we were gonna be available for the next essentially 6 weeks to film the actual scenes and be a part of it. And this was a big moment for me because I was like, I obviously wanna be a part of this. All the rehearsals that I've been doing aren't on camera, so like it won't be on the show, but I want to be a part of this, but what am I going to do? I live in Nashville, and I'm going to stay here with my parents for 6 weeks. What about my wife? What about my cat and my work and all this stuff? Sophie and I had lived in Nashville for about 6 months at that point, and doing YouTube full time is my full-time job. Like, we already had been like thinking about moving back because family's here, work is better here. I was not, producing the videos that I could here in Atlanta, in Nashville. And I was like, do I get an apartment for a month and a half and you and our cat come and stay here while we film, and then we'll move back to Nashville once it's up and all this stuff. We ultimately decided like, no, there's no point to like move for a month and a half and this and that, let's just move back. And we made that decision together, and for the show, mainly, but also mainly because my work was better. Like, I wasn't really like earning like I was in Nashville as I was in Atlanta, and everything didn't make sense. So it was like 2 things happening at one time to make us make that decision to move back. I said yes to being on the show for those 6 weeks, and we decided to move back. With context of all this, it's crazy because we were filming for 15 hours a day, and we'd have like 1 or 2 days off, and I would go back to Nashville to move back to Atlanta. It was craziness. It was so much going on. But let's get a little bit more about, I was in there for 6 weeks shooting. The craziest thing ever. When we get in the spoiler section, I'll tell you guys more. 6 weeks of shooting. We would shoot from, at first our rehearsals were like 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. and then the rest of it was overnights, and it was essentially like 4 p.m. to 8 a.m. every day. Craziness. There's behind the scenes video that came out if you guys want to see that. Go comment on that because I'm in that at 7:37. If you haven't watched the show, don't go watch that yet, but 7:37, I'm in there standing in for somebody and you can see me on camera. Go comment on that video and say at Harrison Neville's at 7:37, shout out or something. I don't know. Go comment that if you want to see it. We decide to move back. I'm literally, as I get off in these rehearsal shoots at like 5 p.m., I was driving to look at apartments to move back. Like, it was absolute insanity for my life. Like, it was insane. So 6 weeks of filming on the show. I can't say a ton of, because obviously the spoiler section, which we'll get into soon after we talk about the pay and stuff. There's main cast members there, big people on the show, hundreds of people for production. Behind the scenes was crazy. Just being a part of that was absolutely incredible. That was gonna be one of the main episodes in the show to end this first part and series. So something about this, once we got to the 6-week shoot, there's a lot more people on set and stuff. And I was getting recognized on set and actually got in trouble for a part of this. I didn't tell anybody I was a YouTuber there because I didn't want it to be like a weird thing. I was just there working as an extra like everybody else. But some people recognized me when we were working on that 6-week big shoot. There's like hundreds of soldiers. I was probably 5 to 10 of them that came up to me and watched my videos and said it like, hey, low-key, I love your videos. Or they'd be like, are you Harrison Neville? What are you doing here? And so that was insane. There's 2 people that worked on the show that recognized me too. I don't know if I can like say their names. I don't want to get them. I don't think they get in trouble. They watch my videos. There's one of them, Jake, who had a picture with me from SneakerCon many years ago, and he was a part of like the production crew. It was super cool to just know that I have that reach. And I did get in trouble at one point because somebody who watches my videos went to set and mentioned my name and said, is Harrison Neville on the show? Because I saw in one of his videos that he was on Stranger Things, and I got contacted to delete the video and all this. And so the context of that is months before, like before the show was even filming, like the show wasn't even out, but it was during the writer's strike. I had gotten some advice to like grow my hair out to, if I wanted to be on the show, because my haircut at the time was like a fade, and like they didn't have that in the 80s, like the way they have my hair, and they're like, grow your hair out. So like I said it in a video, like passively, I was like, oh, I'm growing my hair out so I can hopefully be in Stranger Things. I wasn't in the show, I wasn't even talking to anybody, I didn't know anybody, I was just applying to be on the show, and like they weren't even filming, so like nothing was happening, and they told me to take it down. And so somebody who watched my video saw that, I guess was an extra also, and asked if they could be, or they asked if I was on the show because they saw my video. And so I got in trouble, and I thought I was never gonna be invited back because of that as like a big risk, but thankfully I did get invited back. And I was on lockdown. Like, I saw your guys' comments. I know you guys are commenting you can be on Stranger Things. Why did you shave your face? Why are you growing your hair? I had to mute your comments because I didn't want to get in trouble. I was getting in trouble. And so I deleted comments, and I'm sorry. And I know you guys are smarter than that and knew that it was coming, but I had to do it because I was getting in trouble. I can't really talk much more about that without any like spoilers. So let's get into how much I got paid to be on the show, because I think a lot of people would be interested in that. Now, when we talk about the context of being paid, my job is YouTube, and doing this was a pay cut for me, because I've been pretty successful on YouTube for the past 8 years. Built a business out of it, and doing this was not about the money. Doing this was about just being a part of the show. I'd done it for free, but I think it's interesting for people to know kind of like pay transparency, stuff like that when it comes to this industry. So with a lot of people that were on the show, they worked as extras as their like full-time. And so the work is not like super consistent. It's not like you're guaranteed a certain amount of shows, but this work for especially that last part, the 6 weeks, was very consistent money for people because you're working every day for 6 weeks. With extras, you get paid kind of like a base rate, and the base rate was like 8 hours, $186. So almost $200 a day before taxes, which is not bad, but we weren't working 8 hours a day. We were working overtime like every day because this was a crazy production. There are timelines to get finished, and we were working like 15-hour days sometimes. So on average, like the checks that I was getting, I have all of them here, would be like $305 for a day. What's another one? $171. There were some that were like less early on, but then 320 cents, 320 cents, 292, 188, like it was all over the place. The total amount, I'll just tell you guys, the total amount that I made over filming for those 6 weeks plus the 2 other smaller parts was actually a decent amount of money. It was $6,487.89. So 6 weeks of work, let's say, made about $6,500. For me and my business, I have a lot of operating costs. I have a lot of things that it was taking a pay cut, and it was affecting my business, not being able to film videos on YouTube, because I can't film while we're doing that, especially because I was getting in trouble because people were like finding out if I was on the show and all that. That's how much kind of the pay was for being an extra. Really good for the industry in my opinion, especially because they fed us. They had coffee and snacks for us at all times and extra work. I've done some extra work before, a little bit. This was really good. They treated us very well for especially how many people we had, hundreds of soldiers and catering and all this stuff. It's crazy, insane. They spent a lot of money on this season. So now let's get into the section where if you haven't watched a show, stop here. So now I'm gonna talk about every scene that I was in the show and exact timestamps and my thoughts and what happened in that. So this is the spoiler section. If you have not watched yet, go watch it. I'd pay any amount of money to watch this show from the start without seeing it again. So if you haven't done that, please take this as you need to go watch it. I'm sure most of you guys have, but if you have not watched part 1 of season 5, do it now. So in total, in spots that I like 100% were in, there's a lot of shots because there's a lot of like wide angle shots and stuff like that. But like shots that I'm in that are more close up, there are 5 different shots. I'm part of 3 different episodes that I was in of 4 episodes, which is crazy. First shot that I'm in is going to be season 1, episode 1 at 9 minutes and 13 seconds. There is a convoy of military trucks that drive by Mike, Will, and Holly on their bicycles. And I was in the truck right before the big military truck. I was in the passenger seat driving by in that. You cannot even see that it's me, you can't tell that it's me. We filmed that in Jackson, Georgia, and it was really cool to be a part of that because on these big sets where we did the 6 weeks at the MACZ unit, in that, there's so many of us soldiers, we were like on our own little thing, weren't with any cast or anything. For that, I was with some of the cast, Finn and Noah Schnapp, in a trailer, like a makeup trailer, because it was me and one other soldier, and we had to like change and get costume and hair and makeup and all that stuff, and we did it with the main cast, which was like super cool to be a part of. Obviously, you don't bother them when they're doing their stuff because it's not about you. I'm an extra, doesn't matter. So that is right at the beginning. I'm in part of that scene, which is really cool. They have helicopters go by, and so film that. The next one is gonna be season 5, episode 1 at 55 minutes and 17 seconds, and that is when trucks are pulling up to the MACZ unit, and I am the soldier on the left side that walks up to the truck and asks them a question. I think you can see that that's me, and that I can recognize that it's me, especially when I take like a picture of the TV and the lighting's a little bit better because it's like dark at night and that was shot from a mile away. That's me walking up with a rubber rifle and talking to them and letting them pass through, coming to the MACZ unit. And so watching that first episode, I was like, that's me, I know that that's me.
I'm one of the guys who walks under the truck. It's far away, but that's me on the left.
I would have been cool with just that. Obviously more happens, but that was gonna be it for episode 1. There are more shots in episode 1 where they do like overheads of the whole downtown Hawkins. I'm in those, like, but you can't tell that it's me. There's like 100 soldiers walking by carrying stuff, and I was in those, but it was, I know that, but nobody would ever be able to tell. So next is going to be in season 5, episode 2. And again, spoilers. This was the first scene that I shot in the Wheeler house, and that was in the episode 2, which is called The Vanishing of Blank Wheeler. I was in Holly Wheeler's room. So I knew this as a spoiler for the past year because I was in that room collecting evidence. And so in the shot, you can't really tell it's me, but there's like one military soldier that walks by through the shot, walks to the back of the room, picks up an evidence box, and then walks out. That was me. And that was the first scene that I shot. And I was like, look, if I don't ever get back on the show, at least I know that that's me and I was in it and I got to experience it. It was so cool to be in the set of the Wheeler house. They had us waiting in the Nancy's room while we waited to do our scene. But again, got to see the Duffer Brother. It was so cool just to be a part of it and see their process. So that was in episode 2. And then the remainder is gonna be in episode 4, which is gonna be called Sorcerer. And that was our main scene that the Duffer Brothers call to this day like their most logistically difficult shot they've ever done in their life, because again, it was weeks and weeks and weeks of filming. I can't believe I got to be a part of it. The main shot that I'm in the show that you can clearly see that's my face, it's in the thumbnail, everything like that, is gonna be season 5's episode 4, 29 minutes and 22 seconds. The actor Derek walks up to the military base as a part of this plan, and he walks up to it and he has this line that's whatever, I can't find a school, but the soldier walks out who's like a SAG actor who can actually speak lines and is like, hey, can't you read the sign, no trespassing? And so they picked me and one other military person to stand next to him in that shot. And so I was like, this could be the moment that I'm on screen, like I have to do this right. And so they basically had him walk up and then us step in. I remember the director telling me to like move my head in a little bit so you can see me in the frame, and I was like, yes, please. I didn't know if it was gonna be blurred. I didn't know if they're gonna cut that out, and I didn't know if they're gonna cut any of this out. I was worried that they were just not gonna use the scenes that we were in, but there's so much of it they had to use a lot of it. It was a lot of footage. When I was watching the episode and I was like, that is clearly me. You can see that that's me.
There's me.
Yeah, I see it.
And that's all that I wanted out of this, was just to have like a picture of me in Stranger Things and be a part of this show as a whole, because this is the last season. I just wanted Legacy to be a part of it, and that happened. So can't believe that they put that in there. And I mean, I do believe they put it in there, but so cool to be a part of it. Obviously, I wish I could have had a speaking line, and I feel like it would have been such a huge, I think it would have been like a viral moment, because I feel like you guys know how much I love Stranger Things. I posted about being on the show on Instagram, and it was like, one of my best posts in so long. That was super cool, and I was just in it for a split second. And then season 5, episode 4, 1 hour and 37 minutes. This is like the main fight scene with Vecna and all this. I was a part of all of that. There was one specific scene with the main cast. Not all of them, but there's a scene where Mike is with the kids and he's like protecting them, and they're all running around because there's Demogorgons flying and running. At that moment there, you can see me walking behind him with a pistol, firing and shooting at Demogorgons, walking right behind him. And so that, we spent like 3 days on like those shots. And so I was like spending a lot of time next to these main cast members. That was super cool, because on the other ones, like the main cast members are around, but you're doing other stuff. But this one, I like had to be in unison with them. There's a lot of behind the scenes footage. A whole behind the scenes videos came out, like I mentioned before, and you can see a lot of this stuff, a ton of it. Like I'm in the back of some of those shots. And so like that was one of the main ones. There is another shot in the behind the scenes video, like I mentioned, at 7:37, where it's me standing in for Vecna. And doing a rehearsal with the stunt guys where they fly up because Vecna comes in and throws them away, and they had me stand there and do that for Vecna. I remember they recorded it for behind the scenes, and I was like, can you give me this footage, please? And I was like, I know he can't give it to me, and I don't know if it'll ever see the light of day because they were filming everything, but it made it into the cut of the behind the scenes video. So please go comment on that video so we can just let them know that I was in there. I don't know, it'd just be cool for the Stranger Things to recognize that I was in there. I was in that one as well, which is super cool. A few people asked if I got to keep the uniform that I was in. No, I wish. That's like the next big dream of mine, is to get that costume. Like I want it so bad, and I can remember exactly which one was mine because my name was Boring, and I'd always talk about it with like the costume people because it was a funny name. If anybody knows anybody that works at Stranger Things, worked on set, costume design, anything like that, please help find a way for I can get my uniform. I don't know if they're gonna auction them off or what. There's hundreds of uniforms. I don't know if they're gonna sell them. If there's any power in this video and anybody watches this video, I need help with I want to get that uniform to frame it. It would just be such a cool thing for me. You guys don't understand. Obviously, if they're doing an auction, I'm gonna spend any amount of money to get it. But if anybody has any connections to get that, would be just incredible. I didn't even know if I was able to like say anything, but since my face is on there, I talked to the people there. I was like, I think I'm good to go. Again, I signed an NDA before, but I'm gonna get into the part of like my reactions to everything and predictions, but I just can't believe I got to be part of the experience. Like all I wanted was I just wanted somehow to be a part of the show, and it was more than I could have asked for. Obviously, I could have asked for a speaking line and been a part of it, but they are doing their thing with the show. It wasn't meant to be, but it was meant to be because it happened and it all worked out. One thing that is crazy about that whole sorcerer thing, so again, with the spoilers, you guys saw, we found out Will has powers and all this stuff. I didn't see that. I wasn't on set for that. It was the craziest divine intervention on planet Earth. I was there filming for like 5-6 weeks, and at the end of it, at that point in it, we were all dead. Like Vecna killed all of us, and so I was like, I think I have to take a break. It was affecting my personal life. I had been away from Sophie for so long. I never saw her because I was always filming. I would get home and go to bed at 9 a.m. and wake up at 3 p.m. and go back to set. She would be waking up and going to work as I got home. So it was like, our schedule was so off. It was crazy. Personal life, work life. I had to get back to work. I had to make money. I wasn't making any money because I wasn't making YouTube videos because I was on set and I couldn't film. I didn't have any time to film anything because I was moving in between, going like the days I had off, I was moving from Nashville to Atlanta. Like it was one of the craziest things in my life. So I decided to just stop filming. I was like, I love this show. I've done as much as I can, but I hope this was enough, and I gotta focus on my life and get it back in order because it was insanity, because this was like a side quest. In that time that I was gone, they filmed that scene with Will revealing that he has powers. I did not see it, and I got my genuine reaction to it, which I'll kind of cut in here. I recorded my reaction to all of this, and I look like crazy because I'm like tired and it was midnight.
Oh, he has the power. Holy shit. That's crazy.
But I didn't know about it, and I cannot believe that it played out like that. Like, I knew about Holly Wheeler being taken, which is kind of a little bit like spoilery, but like whatever, it wasn't that big of a deal. If I would have known that he had powers, it would have like, I wouldn't be able to sit on that. And it was like literally divine intervention that I was able to avoid seeing that. But the craziest part is now I don't know anything that happens. I was in episodes 1 through 4. I don't know anything about the next part of this show. I was not a part of it. There were some casting and they asked if I was available, or they were doing some castings for those episodes, and I didn't get selected for it. And kind of, I'm glad, because now I'm avoiding these spoilers. Like, I can watch a show as a fan and not know these things, which is so crazy. I was able to be a part of it and not get spoiled, especially on that main part with Will. So I know nothing about what's gonna happen, and I'll talk about my predictions in a little bit. My reaction to the season, I honestly have to go back and rewatch it. I'm still like craziness because being in it and focusing on that. And let me just go over some of the things. Like, obviously we have that part where Holly gets taken and Mrs. Wheeler defends Holly and gets cut up, and her and Ted are now in the hospital and they're injured, and there's all of that goes on. And then Max is alive, like, or she's in a coma, but her brain, like her mind is still good, and she's in this world with Holly that's Henry's world, and like all of that. I don't know what's gonna happen with that. I'll talk about some predictions in a little bit. There's obviously the scene that we did with, like, if you guys saw that scene, it's so much going on. Like, there's a part of it where there's Ramirez, the soldier, Vecna comes down and like spikes his head. I was laying dead next to him at that point, and I just saw him like react, but like obviously that stuff's like CGI and VFX, and like seeing that after, I was like, holy crap, that's gory and violent, which is insane. God, it's so hard to even remember. I gotta rewatch it because it's so hard to remember like what was happening. You have Eleven and Hopper in the Upside Down, and there's this military base in the Upside Down. Like, how are they breathing? How does that work? We have number 8 comes back, and a lot of people hated season 2, and season 2 episode 7 people say is the worst episode of the whole show because they don't like the storyline with 008, and she's back, and so maybe that will give some context and make people reevaluate their thoughts on that once we see more of the show. When I was doing my rewatch for the 10th time, I used to think 2 was bad, but 2 is actually really good of a season, because you have like the whole Halloween section with the kids and the Ghostbusters, and like that one episode 7 is not my favorite, but like everything else about 2 is really good, and I'm starting to lean to like it more than other seasons, which I can't believe. It's crazy. That we end on like Will having powers, and is it like, is he stronger powers than 11, or is he just using Vecna's powers, or like when he freaking broke the bones of the Demogorgon like Vecna does to his victims was insane. I cannot believe it. There's so many directions it can go. That's where I'll just go into my predictions quickly because it's a long video. I hope Max comes back. Like, I hope she comes back to life because Lucas needs that. And are they gonna kill off main characters? Because they said this is gonna be like the ending is like gut wrenching. I trust the Duffer Brothers to end the show right. I don't think they kill people off for no reason, because I just don't think they do it. It's not Game of Thrones. They keep the main characters. They don't do that just to do it. So I think we're gonna lose some people, but I don't know, dude. I don't know how it's gonna end. I can't even wrap my head around it, and I kind of just want to like suspend belief until I just want to like let it happen. I don't know. The finale is on New Year's Eve. I rented an entire theater for me and my friends to watch it. I cannot wait for that because I don't want like outside reactions, people doing like chicken jockey and screaming and messing up my experience. I want friends who seriously watch the show and are actual fans of the show. So rented an entire theater, cannot wait for that. This is insane. I cannot believe I was part of the show. This is a hat that somebody gave me from, they got my name on it from being a part of it. We had some shirts made, and I just pray I can get my uniform and be the craziest thing on planet Earth. But the biggest thing I was like, I want to be able to like put out a photo of me, like not put out a photo. I wanted to print out a photo and get like photos made on the show and put them on my wall in my office. I cannot wait to do that. Made a post on Instagram. I got some photos of me from behind the scenes. So cool. There's so much I could talk about. I'm just rambling forever, but I cannot believe this happened. This show is incredible, and I hope it ends right. I trust the Duffer Brothers to do it, and please go watch it. If you see me on there, tag me in a story on Instagram or whatever. Would love to see it, and tag Stranger Things. And yeah, I'll see you guys in the next video. Normal video coming back. 2 videos after this. I'll see you then. I can't believe it. Peace.